Hey everyone, Maury Curtis Dunbar here with Painted Studio. Thanks for coming in on a cold and snowy Chicago Friday. Yesterday we were painting an image with foils, meaning we were using multi-layered stencils to create an image, and we were doing it with foils. Now when we pulled the final image off, I was not pleased because a couple of my foils were far too close together in value. So last night I redid it, and here is the final image, which I think is much better than the other one. I had a color that was so close to this aqua color that you could barely see the difference, and that really bothered me. So last night I had another board. I had set up two boards to do this at the end of this week so that we could do some stenciling with foils, and I am very pleased with how this came out. Now, the only thing that ever happens when you do this with foils is that you don't have any shadows. It's very much this is here and this is the background. However, if you wanted to, you could take shapes, block this out, because if you remember yesterday's stencil, it actually had the shape of the dog, and you could run a little shadow here and have that done no problem. So I'm very pleased with this. I think this came out beautifully. Now we're going to try something a little different today. The board that I was, whoops, things fell. The board that I was unsuccessful with yesterday, I completely painted over. I painted it in Set Coat Taupe, and then I put foil adhesive on, and it has been curing up for almost 24 hours now. We let it, in this kind of weather, the longer you can let things cure, the better. Foil adhesive and foils don't like cold, and they don't particularly love damp. Well, it's freezing and snowy here, so yeah, it's a little bit of both. Now, in digging looking for this Foo Dog stencil that I thought I had lost, I found a whole bunch of other multi-layered stencils. Now, this is an old Jan Dressler stencil we're going to be using. Obviously, this is shaded in the painting. We're going to play with foils and see what happens. And I have never used this stencil. It came to me from somebody else, and so now we're going to use it for this, and we're going to see how it goes. The nice thing is that when the person who gave it to me did indeed use it, so I do have color placements already on here, so I know how this is supposed to lay out, which is really, really freaking helpful. And we're gonna do it exactly the same way we did yesterday, but each one of these, there's only 3 layers, and fortunately this is far bigger than the board that we're doing. You can see this, there's the stencil, here's the board. It's about a third bigger than the board, and we're not going to go all the way to the top anyway, but we're going to lay this on, and I will mark in obviously my registration marks, and we're going to do whatever we can get done, and we're going to see how this comes out. Now, like I said, I have never done this one before. It's not a stencil I have ever created, which is funny because irises are absolutely my favorite flower on the face of the earth. So I've placed this all the way to the top and tried to get it about in between the edges. I'm going to take a little piece of something so that it's bright enough for me to see it. Let me take a little piece of this foil. Grab my scissors. Hopefully no scissors will break today while I'm doing stuff. Well, that was convenient. That just came right off. We're going to be using greens and purples and golds and all kinds of other colors to make this happen. Let me get my stylus out here just so I can get this really well marked, and hopefully this will come out nicely. I think it should. It's just not going to be as carefully and delicately shaded as the item that the photo in the stencil picture here. Sorry, I know you're not pointing this down, but this is done with many different paints at each layer. We're going to be doing kind of solid colors. I might take a little bit of a bright color along an edge of a leaf or something, to just sort of make it pop out a little bit. And as we did before, the top layer, that would be the final layer for something like this, is actually the first layer we apply, because we have to go from the top of the stencil back. That is the only way to get a complete picture, because if you go in the other direction, there are big blocked out areas that happen when you put the base of the first piece of the stencil. Let me show you what I mean. Like, okay, this is supposed to be number 1. Okay, you see there are big areas here. Well, if I did that one first, that means none of the little details lay over it. So I literally have to take what would be the final layer of stencil and apply it first, and then apply them in the reverse order to get it to work. So we're gonna flip this down, and we're just gonna kind of work on it and see how it goes. Now this is kind of a beigey color that has and I'm gonna be using little tiny pieces of foil to get these things in here, just because those are my choices. I need to do different colors in different spaces, so we're gonna see how this all comes out. And some of this is gonna be a little bit of guessing for me. It truly will be. So first I'm going to play with a little bit of our purple tie-dye. And I'm going to cut little pieces of this, and then I'm going to cut them smaller so that I can cover small areas with them as needed. And this may take a while, so I hope you're all in a patient mood. If you're not, come back, see how far we've gotten, and we'll do some more. But truly, this is not going to be fast, fast, fast. I have to have patience with this. If I think the live has gone on long enough, we will finish the live, and I will finish this off camera and take pictures. And I have done a lot of this kind of look. This is beautiful on walls and on furniture and on projects. I think the idea of multi-layer stencils sort of freaks people out, especially if they've never been taught to paint them. But I'm going to tell you right now, using them like this with foil kind of takes away some of the anxiety of painting them. Why? Because you're not painting them, you're just applying a layer of color. Now, we'll see how this comes off, because again, this was painted yesterday, and it was foiled yesterday, and there was foil adhesive on it, so we're going a whole new level, and I hope this has cured up enough for me to have a good result. We're gonna find out. Oh, it's a little temperamental. I'm going down to the other. See how it's pulling back a little bit? Let me see if I can get, if there's anything sticky there that this is gonna stick to. It is not giving me happy results right now. We're gonna try one layer of this, and if this does not work, we're gonna call it a day, because I'm not gonna battle foil adhesive all day long. Now I might, if that went down to all the way down to the original paint color, so I could probably touch that up in a little bit if I can get this working the way I need it to work. And now it's getting better. I think I just need a little more aggressive way of applying into these things. Yeah, that works. So this is coming down to the colors from before, right there. So if I have to, if you look on the back where I had this here, you can see that took off not just the paint I put and the foil adhesive I put on, it went all the way down to the base layer of the first paint that I used. It happens. We're going to try and play with this a little bit and see how it goes. Sometimes I find that if I've got like a really sticky situation like I'm dealing with here, which is sticky specifically because I've got 2 layers of foil adhesive on here, my best results come from scrubbing not with a brush, but with my fingernails. And for something like this, that works fine. I wouldn't recommend it for a bigger place. If it was a bigger surface, I'd tell you to walk away and let it cure up more. For a small surface like this technique works just fine. Oops, I don't want to put the one in. I want to get in there with that. Again, we're going to have little spots here. I think what we may do is just get through this. See if I can get through this first layer, because I'm also now concerned that if I, when I pull the stencil off, that it may take the paint off too. I may have a completely dismal dealing with this. We'll find out. You know, I made this hard on myself. But again, if I make mistakes and I share them with you, hopefully you learn from what I do and you don't make the same ones. I'm never afraid of actually making a mistake because I always learn from them. Let me come back in here and put a little more color in here. Come in with my stylus and clean up around the edges. Now you don't have to go around the edge of the stylus, but with the stylus, but I'm doing it specifically because we're going to have so many layers going over here that I'm going to want to make sure my edges are crisp and clean and I can see them well. If you remember how we worked yesterday with the Foo Dog, there were so many small, tiny little details that we really needed to get in there with this. Now, I think I've got these little dots here, so I'm going to have to kind of go in, give things a press. Let's see how they go in. I can't. Of course, now this is the part that's the challenge, is I can't see them once I put the foil down. So I'm kind of hoping and guessing that I get them all. I do get most of them. I don't worry too much if I miss one or two. Okay, there we go. That's coming over here. Usually sometimes it just takes me finding like the first one or two. And I get a bunch pressed in and it's easier to find the rest. Well, at least with a big, I didn't pay attention to my own frustrations yesterday. I'm not wearing a sweater with big flappy sleeves today, so I don't have to deal with that. And the area that my arm is touching the adhesive, because I have to sort of hover over this a little bit, is not so big. I hope you all have some fun plans for the weekend. I will probably be here finishing up stuff like this. But my husband is taking me out for my birthday dinner tonight because my birthday is in the middle of the week next week. And we are going for one of my favorite meals, just like we did for our anniversary. We're going out for Ethiopian food tonight, and we're going to try a different place that we've never gone to before. And I don't happen to live in downtown Chicago, so getting to some places, there are no Ethiopian restaurants, African restaurants out here in Elmhurst. Actually, there's none in the burbs anywhere near me. So we're going to drive into the city, and if you're at all familiar with Chicago on a Friday night, that's a lot. It's going to take us a good hour to drive in, but it's worth it. It's so good. I've loved Ethiopian food forever. You all might have seen when I was still teaching down at the Faux Finish School, when Martin still had his studio down there. Every time I'd go down to teach a class, I'd go to dinner at Queen of Sheba because they had fantastic Ethiopian there. A family-run place, and it was so good. So now, whenever I get a chance, I can cook French myself. I can cook Italian. Cooking Ethiopian is might be a little out of my skill set. So we go out for my birthday or for our anniversary or for Valentine's Day. That's a go-to for us. And it's so good. A little glass of honey wine and some bear sauce on things, and oh, so good. Just absolutely a favorite. Okay. And let's get in here. Waiting to see what happens, whether they do the tiki-taki ban. I'm saying it that way because I don't know what Meta's things are about saying other platforms' names, but I have not yet invested a lot of time and effort into that platform because of the potential ban. So you know, we have to say things in weird ways on social media because certain things can get different ownerships unhappy. So we'll see what happens. If they actually get it together and find a way to keep it, somebody here buys the company for the American side, I might be more interested in investing more in it, but because of the way the politics of it are right now, I've kind of held back. But you guys on Facebook are my first love, so you get all of my attention all the time. This is a corner. This is a sticky corner. Oh, good, that came off. I was worried there for a second. I thought I was going to have another one of those spots. Okay, and then we've got this one over here. Come in here. There we go. Come on. And a little more detail with that tip. Okay. So I'm playing with these with different colors. I honestly, you know, I'm hopeful. Let's see how this comes out. I really can't tell you if it's going to work perfectly or not. I have no bloody idea. We'll find out. And I'm choosing colors similar to what's on there, but I might go some more vibrant with some stuff just because I think it would be more interesting, and the contrast is always something we need to show. And I gotta get those little spots in here. Okay, now I think I've gotten most things. There's a spot here that needs my attention. There with my finger, and then come in with this. There's a couple little dot spots right in here too. These little tiny things. Those little dots are actually part of the stamen, and I wish I could remember the terms right now, but my memory for botany is not there. I know it's pistils and stamen and all that sort of stuff. I'm not remembering what it is clearly. My brain just doesn't want to grab it today. Okay, so I think I might take another, I'm gonna do a little play with this color. We're gonna do a little purple leopard. Yeah, that's an interesting color choice, but it will differentiate itself from some of the other purples, and we'll play with them all over the place. So, this is gonna be fun, and it's gonna be interesting, and I hope it comes out looking well. I have no idea. I'm kind of winging it a little bit, because as you can see, some of these have more than one color blended into them, so they've used different colors to blend a specific petal. Me, I'm kind of playing with a whole lot of stuff here, so I'm just going to see what I can make happen and if it looks interesting. Let's come in here. I tried to make sure I didn't choose any foils that had any sort of temperamental release to them, because we did have some issue with that yesterday. And quite frankly, it probably wasn't the foil that was being temperamental, it was the surface. Okay, and again, we primed this surface with Set Coat taupe, and then rolled on Artsyville foil adhesive and let it dry more than overnight. This has been drying for almost 24 hours, because this went, I did my live yesterday and I just was not happy with the way that it set up. It just didn't make me at all happy because of the way the different foils just blended together too much, and then we had a problematic release. So I redid it, and this board I prepped to do for this today. So we're going to come in here. My fingernail. These little spots are always good for a little fingernail buffing. Little spot right there that doesn't want to grab on. There we go. And I'm going to take another little piece. There's going to be a lot of these little tiny pieces floating around in our scrap bag. Or that's not the one I wanted. I thought I had more leopard bits. There we do. When we, if you order foil from us, in your package we usually include some scraps. And that's so you can see other foils that you didn't order, maybe discover a pattern, use them for testers and stuff. So all this stuff, all the things that we used yesterday, that all goes into a scrap bag, and we tuck them into the foil orders. And a lot of people have made all kinds of stuff with them. And they're great for making earrings. If you use our Would You Bend earring blanks, you can do a ton of earrings with a lot of the foil scraps we send you. Lots of fun things happening with that. So we never throw away a foil scrap here in the studio. We always save them to send to you all when you place an order. And I'm gonna there we go. There's this spot. Now your undercolors always make a difference. I rarely foil over white or light colors like I'm doing today, but because this is a floral, I thought I'd give it a shot because foils are an imperfect release. You know, you're releasing something that's a few microns thick on to a surface that might have a little texture either from paint or from the foil application or whatever. So we don't often use a light color because light colors don't look great under everything when it breaks through. It makes it look a little patchy. But for this, I think it will work. If we have any patchy spots, it will be filled in. Because we're going to do a background pattern and a background color as well. I'm on a little earlier than I usually am today, but that's again because I'm going out to dinner tonight. So I want to make sure I have time to freshen up. All right, so we've done the purples. We're going to need, they did sort of this beigey color there. We're going to use a holographic gold cubism, which is a gold glitter style foil. I thought this would be fun and bright and a little different option from something sort of beige. I really want to make this obnoxious and pop. I mean, I'm using purple leopard as a choice on the petals, and I have I think it's kiwi leopard over here too to use for things. So absolutely, there are going to be some interesting choices made here. So let's come in here. Oh, that's releasing nicely. And I had a whole bunch of other multi-layered Jan Dressler stencils that were gifted to me. So I have these are Dutch irises, which are the big bearded ones. I have some Japanese iris stencils. And then I think, I'm trying to figure out if it's a gladiola or a thistle. It didn't come with the picture with it like the others did. So I think I might actually have to paint it to really get a better idea of what it is, because it could be either. If I take the stencil out, I'm sure I'll figure it out, but I haven't taken it out of the bag. Okay, now that needs a little beige here, which we're not doing as beige at all. So the one thing that really won't be happening is we will not have blended highlights and shadows and stuff. You could probably do it, but I need a little more time to figure that out to show you it. And I do kind of have the technique for it figured out in my head, but since I haven't tried it at all, I want to test it before I teach it. We all know I wing stuff, but let's not, that's a pretty big wing. Let's give it a good buffing. Oh yeah, that's coming up. Now it's starting to release well. So obviously my worst parts were right up here, and there will probably be other spots that challenge me a bit, but that's okay. All right, so let's get a little more. So where I released that purple there a little is actually supposed to be some of this gold, and that might actually look pretty in the end, so I'm okay. I'm okay with what happened there. Let's get this all rubbed down. Right down in here, and a little bit right over here, and then we have this one, and then we'll get to the greens. I'm really happy with how this is coming out. So I know it doesn't look like that much right now, but these are all part of the flowers, and then we have the leaves to deal with the greens and all that other good stuff. So I'm gonna move some of these little bits out of the way, and we're gonna start with some of the lightest greens because these are leaves up front. So we're gonna use, I think this is Celadon. We're gonna use some Celadon green. This again is a fabric friendly foil, so this is good for lots of surfaces. Put the tape back on there, put it to the side. So we're gonna, oh, I almost forgot one little spot. I missed that one right there. Come in here and get that. Oops, wrong end of my stylus. Again, the styluses you can get in any arts or crafts store, on Amazon. I have a bunch of them, but this is the one I use the most. Probably just because it's the first one I used and I got really comfortable with it. All right, so let's put some Celadon up here in these different spots. And if any of the other areas get a little bit of the green or the other color on them, it doesn't matter because it just will make it look sort of nice and blended. Okay, I'm going to turn this towards me so I can reach this. Now, some of these leaves, you can see they're going behind things. Some of them will be coming forward. So I'm going to kind of vary some of my greens here. So this one, I'm going to use with Celadon. And I might come and use this piece with Celadon. But some of these other, and I think I could probably use Celadon right there, but I'll need some of the other greens to get in there as well because I'll need stuff that is deeper so that the leaves are varied and not just one big solid green blob. This was not going to want to come off. I can see this one's going to be temperamental. This is extra sticky spot right here. Oh. Normally I don't rip so aggressively, but oh yeah, see, now that went down to the base color. And that's all right. I'll make it work. but I'm clearly coming into an area with some very, very sticky foil adhesive. So let's see if I can get a little more released on there. Okay, now here's something else I do. If you're finding your adhesive is just a little sticky, this will dull the stickiness just a little bit. And let's give that well, I need a different piece here. I need another little piece. But if you're finding that your adhesive is just grabbing super, super hard and you're not happy with that, tap it with your hand. That dulls the adhesive just a little bit. You can over tap it. You notice I only did it a couple times until some of the shininess went away on there. You don't want to do it more than a couple times, because if you dull it too much, you will not get any release. So let's come right in here. Let's come with the scrub brush first, and then I'm going to go with my fingernail. And then let's get my stylus to go all the way around the edges. So I get a nice crisp edge. And that helped. Yeah, it's still a little temperamental, but I didn't tear down so hard. Again, this is only something I recommend ever if you're finding your adhesive is so sticky after 24 hours of drying because you've got weather and temperamental issues going on. This is a solution. It is not the only solution. Again, you could walk away, come back another time. It will be less sticky. But this is super, super sticky. Why is this so sticky? Because I have a layer of paint on here, then I had foil adhesive, then I foiled. That I didn't like it, so I put another layer of paint and another layer of foil adhesive. So I put a lot of moisture on here, which is keeping my foil adhesive very sticky in some areas. And I'm still concerned about what's going to happen when I try to take the stencil off. I am hoping that I can take it off without having it rip off. All right, let's get that spot right here. And I really love how this looks. This is so pretty. Okay, there's my Celadon. And then I'm going to come in with some, I think I want to come in with a little deeper green. We're going to use some lentil green. I'm going to use a whole lot. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shades of green to work with here. So we have a lot of variety. There's some hunter green in this. There's all kinds of stuff. So there will be different things for stems, for leaves, for all kinds of shapes and layers. Honestly, I hope I've gotten this done well, and when I come back, and I might discover, like I did yesterday, I made some bad choices and then choose a fresh board because I'm not going to paint this one over again on this side. I might turn it over and paint the back and do it over on the other side after I seal this side up. But I might discover that I've made some choices that I need to rethink. And if I do that, I'll redo it and share the redo. Sometimes I just don't know these things, especially when it's the first time using a stencil and stuff. I don't always know it until I'm done. And that's okay. Making mistakes like this is part of learning. Now, I don't know if this is a mistake, but if I make a mistake, it's all part of the learning process, and I'm fine with that. Sometimes I learn more from my mistakes than from my successes, because sometimes successes are just from following the directions. Mistakes come from kind of taking off and doing your own thing, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and either one's okay. I also find I remember my mistakes really well, so I don't repeat them. All right, let's see how we do here. And we have kind of a texture on here from all the paints and layers and stuff, so things can come off a little bit unevenly. You see I'm leaving a lot of product on here, so I might want to come back in with another. Let's try this and see if I get more off using this. I use all kinds of tools to see what makes more foil come off. Let's see if I take some foil and come in here like this. Every tool has a purpose. That makes that a little better, so I'm going to come back in with some on these spots and rub a little more foil into them. Just so I get a little. And I might come back with some of the other greens and go over it too, and that would give me kind of a cool blended look. A nice bit of interest. This one to get done. So I got more in there with that, but I think I'm going to come back in with a little bit more of the Celadon and scrub it over there so it's a little more opaque, and let's see how that looks. I told you, I'm not afraid to throw some stuff together and see how it looks, and actually that looks pretty darn good. It kind of acts like some highlights and stuff on here really nicely. And it makes the pattern a little more opaque, a little more organic looking, because now you have a couple of colors in here. And a little piece of it stuck here. I don't want that. And then let's come take this. Oh, that looks good. Oh, I'm happy with that. All right, now comes the scary part of trying to get this off. Throw that down there so that'll go into the scrap bin. Let's hope. Okay, this is actually coming off all right so far. Again, slowly, carefully. You don't want to rip any of the bridges. You don't want to tear the pattern. right, this is good. We had one little pull up here. Stuck to my fingers, but yeah, that's so far so good. All right, let's put layer number 2 on and see where we go. Sorry, when I move things around, everything goes apart, everything goes crazy. That's layer number 3, so I don't want that one yet. Now this one came not only with the pictures, but it came with all the instructions for painting it and everything. So, I mean, this is really a beautiful Jan Dressler stencil. She's unfortunately no longer, I don't think she's making stencils anymore. So, I don't even think this is available anymore, which is kind of sad because she did make beautiful, beautiful patterns. There's that. That. Let's lay this all down. Okay, so you can see we have lots of clear space to work with. We're going to do a little gold again because we're going to take all those. Well, I might wait on the gold just because there's so much other stuff going on here. So we're going to take, I think, a little bit of our grape color. This is grape soda. And I'm going to play with a lot of those and get some darker purple in. Again, little pieces. Why? Because little pieces will make my life easier. Now, almost all of this is going to be the grape soda color. If it's not gold, it's going to be grape soda. Okay, so I've got that down in there. Where's that? Go over with my fingernail. Again, this is texture. There is texture on here because there are so many layers. I've rolled paint, I've rolled foil adhesive, I've rolled more paint, I've rolled more foil adhesive. So I definitely have a slightly pebbly, orange peely textured surface under here. And that requires, that's not what I wanted. I almost started digging at that with the picker, which is not a good idea because all that will do is cut the foil. Because that's a pointed end. This is going to be pretty. If this comes out as nicely as I think it will, I think this is going to be so pretty. And the nice thing is I can pick up my foil to make sure I've caught all the little spots that need my attention, because there's always little things. And if you pull it up and you don't feel that you have enough covered, you drop the foil back down and burnish a little more. to, because I like to do this since I'm battling this texture. Oh, that's going to be pretty. I just need to get into that edge a little bit better. Now this is the color that will show the white through the most, or the taupe through the most, so I will take the extra time to make sure I've burnished as much color on there as I can get on, because otherwise it will be kind of patchy looking, and I'm trying to avoid that. There we go, a little bit down here, a little bit here. Go. And let's come up in here. And since there's so many little spots, I'm just taking advantage of using them as much as I can. So any little bit that I can fit in, like right here, so I'm not wasting my foil. And of course, if I'm not making sense to you with what I'm doing, please ask me. It means that I'm distracted with what I'm doing and I'm not conveying the information to you completely. All right, there's that. And then I think right there, I can fit this one. That piece is done. We'll take another little snip and get into the other spots. Let's come over here and do this. So get more than one spot done at a time. Burnish with my finger. I want a little more. There we go. Oh, nice, 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 nice. Just a little bit on this edge. And just a little more right up in there. Very good. And we'll come in here. This one. Oh yeah. Now, if I weren't on a live, I would just be sitting with this and something playing in the background and totally falling in love with what I'm doing. But I get really quiet when I really get into what I'm doing, and I love this. This is what I call my little fussy fiddly kind of stuff, and it's what makes me really happy. Coming out very, very nicely. And there's not too much more left of the purple. We have, get it in here so I don't get it on the gold, where the gold is going. And we have this area, and then we'll do the leaves once we get the gold on. There. And then let's get this one in here. Irises happen to be my very favorite flower, so doing this makes me even happier than just about any other flower pattern. I have tons of irises planted in my yard. I plant more every year because it makes me so happy. It makes me happy just to see them blooming outside my bedroom window in the spring. And they're very hardy. Surprisingly, like we have a lot of rabbits in my neighborhood. And we have a mama rabbit who has babies in our yard every year, and she's so bold she's not even afraid of us or our dogs anymore. She just looks at us like, yeah, why you bugging me? And so part of what I have to do is, besides her, we got a lot of other rabbits that come through. And we're in a standard suburban area, but as building areas get expanded, wildlife becomes part of neighborhood life. My old neighborhood in Brookfield, we used to see deer walking down the street every once in a while because there was a forest preserve right in the town area. So you could have the wildlife like just visiting. And we're a suburb of Chicago. It's not like we're miles and miles and miles into the country. It's just how it works if you have a lot of forest preserves near suburban living. And the rabbits eat everything if I'm not careful. They've eaten so much stuff. So the only thing the rabbits don't seem to like too much are the tulips, the daffodils, and the irises. And so now I planted some stuff and the deer just ate them. I mean, the rabbits just ate them completely before I even had a chance to even see them come up for a season. They ate all the bulbs even. So I'm hoping that if I limit my planting to things I know rabbits don't like, I might actually see more of them grow instead of planting things and then praying. The other thing they don't tend to like is alums, because those are the garlic family, and they don't like garlic. I haven't put anything in like vegetable beds. I grow my tomatoes in pots so that they don't come up under them and eat them. All right, so we've got that pretty much done. Let's see if I want to rub a little more purple anywhere. There. Oh, we're pretty good here. There we go. We're going to get the gold out. These little pieces of purple, they go into the scrap pile. I'm pulling my scraps out so I can stop tripping over them, and I can use the pieces that have stuff still on them. Okay, so let's get our gold that goes here. And you notice I've just sort of given up on the toothbrush thing for these little things. I just go in with my fingernails and then with the stylus. That's nice. And once I take this layer off, you will see some very substantial development of the issues, of the image of the issues. I'm developing issues. I know, shocker. There we go. And then this is gold here. I'm trying to make sure I pay attention to make sure I get what's supposed to be green and what's supposed to be gold. I didn't cover that all the way. That's supposed to be gold. So I'm sort of staying within the color family. Now I have taken stencils that had very specific color directions with them and completely blown those out of the water from time to time. Jeff Raum made a beautiful peacock stencil, and I learned it with his colors. Then I took it for a client to do for a room divider, a room screen, and did it all in shades of the most vibrant pinks with a little purple and a little yellow and a little green, totally not peacock colors. I did at one point have it painted over a doorway in my house in traditional peacock colors because I'd learned on it, and then I followed his directions for the colors. And then when it came to my client, by then I'd done the stencil once or twice to learn it, and then for her, I took it and turned it totally on its head. And I like doing that. I like taking things that are expected to look one way and make them look so different, because that makes things interesting. Okay, so we've got all of our colors on there now. We'll put that to the side, that one's done. And I think what we're gonna use most of the green in here with is the peridot green. So let's get this up. Now this is one of our few foils that's not fabric friendly. From the back you can see it looks a little different. It's beige-ish. The film is, the carrier film is thinner. And it will stick to fabric foil. That's not the issue, but it will not stay adhered to fabric foil. It will not wash. You will not have it last you any length of time. It's not designed to be bonded to fabric and withstand wearing. This is a different kind. These were originally designed simply for heat release on things like paper. And as a result, they don't have the necessary components to work with fabric and the wearing of it. They would be too fragile. They would crack and chip off, and somebody I know did something and it just washed off in the wash. Didn't even crack, chip, or peel. It just washed right off. Like I said, it's not meant for that, so don't use, when we tell you something's not fabric friendly, believe us. I beg you, believe us. Otherwise you're gonna have things happen that you will not be happy about. We give you that information for a reason. Okay, I got a little tiny spot right up here. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this around a little bit. I'm actually just gonna turn it to the side so I can get it this side a little easier. And come in here, these bigger areas, and this is a super easy release foil, so I find sometimes the non-fabric friendly foils actually release a little easier on hard surfaces than some of the fabric foils, and it's just the nature of each one is different. Now I've had plenty of these that are terrible and challenging, and that's why we don't sell them. I will not sell you stuff that does not work. Why would I do that? That would not make you happy with me. Spent a lot of time apologizing for stuff that should have been avoided to begin with. Let's see if I can get that one here. Yeah. That's pretty. I think we're gonna do all of this in peridot. I mean, yeah, this is peridot. And then I didn't know what color it was. Oh. Here, give this a little scrub. Yes, indeed, this is going to be just lovely. Now, if I forget and I get a spot where there's like a sharp edge here, if I don't get it all the way covered, I don't rub all the way to that sharp edge for a reason. I want it to be a little bit blurred so that when I lay next layer of foil down, or need to touch it up. It blends and you don't have a sharp seam, because sharp seams aren't pretty in the middle of stuff if you don't want them there. Okay, let's get this. See, like I'm going to have this seam right here, this sharp edge. I'm not going all the way to that edge because I don't want a line in the middle of that. I want to have it blur when I lift this foil up and fix that spot. So it's kind of patchy looking right there, but now when I put the foil back over here, I can blend it all together. And you will not see a seam line, which you would have if I had done a crisp edge on, burnish right up to that sharp edge. Okay. And let's see how far down I can get on this one. Oh good, that covers all the way to the bottom. We're almost done with this layer. So I will be able to lift it up and we can get the last layer done. Okay, and then here's this. Now on the last layer, we'll probably use a couple of different greens on things just to get a little bit more interest, because this is very solidly one color green. But if you remember from our first pass, we used a couple of different greens underneath. So we have variety happening. All right, let's lift this layer up. Here we go. Say a little prayer. Oh yeah. My big concern is always making sure you can see contrast. And that the stencil will release. Oh, look how pretty that came out. So now you can see the different things that are happening with the leaves. We've got the different petals, and now we have our final layer. Here we go. Have to make sure I put it on the right way, because you can screw it up. Fortunately, the fact that this was already painted once also helps me do that, get that on correctly, and this is not. I want you to stick when I'm not ready for you. I think I'm going to stick to my finger too. Wants to be a little cranky on me. So I'm going to pull this back a little bit. And there's the bubble. Should be just about right. Let me just adhere. There we go. Why is that bubbling right there? It's not completely flat here. Just a little pucker in here, and it's making the stencil pucker even more all the way down. So I have to make sure I adjust it just right. So you can see I shifted just a little, and I'm not happy with that. Your stencil wants to challenge you. That's where we're at. There we are. Now it's where it's supposed to be. And any place on here that you happen to see foil pattern coming through will not be covered up by new foil. It acts like a resist because we've already put foil on here. So we're gonna try, I have two colors here. I have, what is this, lavender? Oh Lord, this sticker fell out. There's a lavender, and then there is a lavender carbon fiber. So we're gonna play with a couple of these and see how they come out. We're gonna do a little lavender carbon fiber in a couple places, and then we're going to do some of the other that has no name sticker that I think is just, yeah, I think this is lavender too. It's just a different company's lavender. And the carbon fiber has a really pretty texture to it. It has sort of this nice basket weave texture. So that would be really interesting on here. And we're gonna see how it releases. Of course, I'm picking a big spot, so I'm really gonna challenge myself to make sure it releases well. So, why am I doing that with my finger? Here is my stylus. And these are the big petals that are on here right now. But you see, since you've applied these little detailed patterns on here already, that would be what you would normally paint last, and for this, it's what you're painting first. So, again, we have to work from the top layer backwards instead of the other way around when you paint. Oh, this is a kinky. This one doesn't want to release well. And I don't know if it's because my foil is being, let me stick my finger on here and see what happens. Again, I've told you sometimes if your foil adhesive is too sticky, just dab it with your finger and see if you can get a better release. And I know mine is super sticky for a very specific reason, and it's because of all the layers that I've applied on here. Oh, that made a big difference. I like that. Got a little pull up right there. That's creating a very nice pale lavender color, and that texture shows a bit. So I'm going to take this as a lesson learned, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to touch that area with my fingers, because the release on this is going to be different than the other one, than our other lavender, which I know is a super, super easy peasy release. It practically falls off of that. So we're going to do this. And not challenge the surface like some of these can from time to time. And each one of these, again, I keep saying, each one can have a slightly different way it releases. So truly experiment with it. Learn your foils. While it might release as easy as pie on some things, it might not on others. And as you can see, you know, some of this wants to be a little more challenging than others, and that's okay. It's not a bad thing. It's just part of what you're learning. Again, I do this way. That softens up that tack a little bit because I have so many layers of paint and adhesive on here that are creating such a sticky surface. Oops, wrong thing. Here we go. Let's give this a little burnish with this too. Getting as much off of here as I can. Oh, don't you be a stinker on me. It just wants, sometimes they want to be a little challenging. And I know the reason. We all do. I've explained it more than one time. It's because I have so many layers on here. And you can find sometimes that if you paint a fresh layer of paint over a generous layer of foil adhesive, your paint will feel sticky. I have had that happen. And that's how I know it. All right, there's that. Excuse me. Let me do one more here because I'm seeing how all of these place. So kind of have an idea where this is going to go. All right. Okay, so we're going to do all the other purple layers in the other purple foil, and then we have a little bit of gold to apply, and then the rest is greens. The rest is all green. So let's apply this one. And this one is almost a periwinkle color because there's a lot of blue in it. Whereas the other purples that we have used have a lot more red in them. These have a lot of blue. This color has a lot of blue. And this one is one of those foils where it's basically like powder on it and it's just falling off the foil backing. This is not a fabric friendly foil. This is another one of those that's not fabric friendly. Oh yeah, that relief is beautiful on there. This one, like I said, basically just sort of falls off the backing. Get that little bit of silver edge off there. The silver edge is sort of like a selvage edge on a piece of fabric. So you don't want that to go over any of the areas that you're applying your foil to because it will release silver instead of the color. It just does. It's how it's made. It's what it's meant to do. It's a selvage edge. Like just on the edge of fabric, you can have that funny spot that doesn't have any pattern printed and it sort of seals up the edge. That's what this does. That's what the selvage is here. That's what the selvage is on fabric. It's not part of what you include to use on your surface if you don't want that little silver edge to show up. Okay, let's get that up there. Oh, that's really pretty. That it goes here. And, you know, doing all these odd little shapes and stuff can take time because you're piecing something together and you're trying to get it so that you're not bleeding your colors into other spaces that you don't want it to be in. So don't rush this. This is like painting. You have to work each layer. Take the time to get it applied correctly in the way that you want, so you're not disappointed in the final result. That's pretty, 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 pretty. All right, let me turn this over here, get this here. And then we have these two over here. Let's see if I can place that so they're both covered. Yes. Perfect. Just what I wanted. One more. Oh, I have an open spot. I'll fit that somewhere here. There we go. Get that nice clean edge there. Taken care of here, and a little bit right there. Okay, so the last little bits I have to put on something are gold, and then we got the leaves. So here's a little gold here. Good. A little gold here. And I thought there was another one. I might be wrong. I need just a touch more of this in here. There was a little spot that looked like it was thin. Okay. And now we get to do the stems. Now I'm gonna have some fun. We're gonna add to these stems doing a little bit of leopard, kiwi lime green, leopard, kiwi leopard, yes. So I'm gonna do this stem in kiwi leopard. We're just gonna play with greens. because I can. There's this. And then there's here. I don't know, it might look like some bug attracted too, but I'm kind of liking it. All right, and we're gonna take this. I know this is part of that stem too, so we'll do that right there. And then let's have a little fun, put a little bit right in here, and then the last bits we will do with hunter green, so we get some dark green in here. I need to put a little, let me get the edges on as well. That down in the scraps, and here we go, a little hunter green, so we have some nice dark green on here. Let's see how this one releases, and if we're going to want to release another color over it too. I don't know. We're going to find out. This is a fabric-friendly foil, just like the Kiwi was, the Kiwi leopard. Find out how this is releasing today on this surface. Surfaces make a difference, temperature makes a difference, adhesive level makes a difference, all of it makes a difference on how your foils release. Give it a little test pull. Oh, that's releasing nicely, but I do want to give it a little extra burnish here. Just to see if I can shove just a little more down on there. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Okay. Okay, let's take our brush, oops, give it a little scrub. Come back in and burnish it with the stick, and I'm using the stick to get these edges down too, since it's got a nice flat edge. Oh, that's good. It's a little narrow, so make sure I get the brush going in there, and then the stylus as well. Down to our last leaf, and then we can release the whole thing. And we'll have the pattern, and then I'll figure out what I'm going to do for the background, because I haven't figured that out yet. All right, There we go. Oh, that's gonna look great. I can't wait to see how this looks all pulled together. Yay! All right, let's pull it free. Okay. Look how pretty that came out. Oh, I'm so happy with that. Now, I have to figure out what I'm going to use for a background, and I was kind of thinking that, but that might be too bright. And then there was rose gold, which might not be right either. I have matte silver. I know what I'm going to do is I'll release matte silver and then I'll release one of the pinks over it. So wherever the matte silver doesn't grab completely, I will release some of the pink over it, so we'll have a kind of more subtle. Actually, let me do it this way before I do that. Where's that pink that I wanted? We're going to take a little of this pink. Instead of counting on possible missed spots, I'm going to create a texture for the background. Close this back up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my beautiful pink foil, crumple it up like this, and hold it in my hand. And then I'm going to pounce it on the surface, and it just leaves little threads and splotches, and you can see it's coming off, but it's not 100% released, and it's just leaving this beautiful little bit of pink texture in the background. That will show more intensely, especially once I get this piece stuck off of here. When I release the silver over it, you'll see it. And you just keep moving it around to get it. So then if you look closely, you'll see it's like fibers almost of pink, and it's just a little bit of pink crumpled pattern, and you can see how much it's taken off on here. So now we're going to get wherever I put the silver. Where did I put the silver? Oh Lord, where did I put the silver? I had it. You all saw me with it in my hand. And I put it there. There it is. Okay. I'm going to take this and cover the board as smoothly as possible. Yes, there will be wrinkles and stuff. That won't matter in the end. And this is my matte silver. Roll that up as well. And I'll come in with the brush and burnish the entire surface. Rub it well with the brush. Vertically and horizontally, so that if you have any lines that show up from your effort to release this, it looks in a pattern that you're happy with. And this may be temperamental. Oh, could be a cranky release. Because I can feel it wanting to battle me already a little bit, but we will make it work, I promise. And again, there's spots on here that are much stickier than other spots. Okay, let's pull this back. Okay, that worked nicely. Now, I'm still going to come back with a little more pink, I think. And we're going to rub it on there, and it's going to catch up anything that is still exposed, sticky, not the way I want it. So, that down, scrub. It's not really releasing much extra. And honestly, let me go find my stiffer brush though. Try not to fall over all of the stuff on the floor around me. There it is. This is my favorite brush for larger surfaces. It's a really old, cheap scrub brush that is super, super stiff. And for surfaces that might need a little extra attention, this super stiff brush has yet to fail me. And that's what it needed. It's a little extra stiff brush here. Okay. And all I'm doing is just filling in any sort of low spots, sticky spots with a little extra pink, just so it looks a little more completed. And that is gorgeous. Look how beautiful that came out. I am so pleased. Now I will seal this up with a top coat just so I have it, but this is a sample board. I like this enough that if I wanted to, I could frame it, but look how pretty that is. Oh, I'm so pleased. Okay, this was a long one today, everybody, so I thank you for those who stuck around. I thank you to those who popped in and saw what I was doing. Yeah, look how beautifully that came out. That is a stencil I've never played with before. I'm really, really pleased with the results. I wasn't sure what I was going to get. Any of the places that the foil adhesive kind of pulled down to the next layer below it, that's on me because there was so much product on here, and I put paint and then foil adhesive, then foil, then more paint, then more foil adhesive, and then more foil. So I tested my surface. I really worked hard on some of these things, and I got to tell you, I'm really pleased with how some of this came out. I mean, I can't argue this. Yeah, this really did just what I was hoping it to do. We may come back. We may do more of these. We may put this away for a while. I got to put another coat of paint on my little green table. And next week we will continue working on that. All right, everybody, have a wonderful weekend. Stay warm, stay dry, stay clear of the snow. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.